I mean, we have to be honest. And I loathe the disingenuousness. They don't want Israel. They think they're being very clever. They call it their three-tier. We want the end of the occupation, we want the right of return, and we want equal rights for Arabs in Israel. And they think they're very clever because they know the result of implementing all three is what? What's the result? You know and I know. What's the result?
I think we don't.
There's no Israel.
I think there's
No.
But I think the result is like there's no Israel the way Israel is now.
There is no Israel, full stop. And the law is Israel is a state. It has its defined borders. And if you want to eliminate Israel, that's your right. But I don't think you're going to reach anybody. I think it's a non-starter. If you say you want to enforce the law, and in fact impose it on Israel, because they're not going to be accepted, then the law is clear. And you have to say, and you'll never hear the Solidarity Movement say, 2 states. Go look at the UN General Assembly resolution. It always begins, peaceful settlement of the Palestine question. The last part where they lay out the terms for resolving the conflict, they say a 2-state settlement, and then they say East Jerusalem, West Bank, Gaza, occupied Palestinian territories, settlements are illegal under international law, and a just resolution of the refugee question based on the right of return. But it's all within that framework. And if you don't want the framework, then stop talking about the law. And stop trying to be so clever. Because you're only clever in your cult. The moment you step out, you have to deal with Israeli propaganda. And here, they have a case. They say, no, they're not really talking about rights. They're talking about they want to destroy Israel. And in fact, I think they're right. I think that's true. I'm not going to lie. When I do politics, I have one standard. You know what my standard is? Can I defend this position in public? Not can I defend it in my little cult, but whether stepping outside my cult, whether I can defend it in public. And when I listened to Muin, because we spoke together in Boston, and Muin is writing the chapter in the book on the refugees, and I listened very carefully to him, because the division of labor was I'll do the settlements, he'll do the refugees, and we haven't had a chance. We've corresponded, but we haven't seen each other's positions yet. And I listened to him, and I didn't listen with the ear, is he right or is he wrong? Is what he's saying moral? Is what he's saying immoral? What I was listening was, can I defend it or can't I defend it? If I can't defend it, then what am I doing? What's the point? Do we want to build a movement or do we want to create a cult? Now, Frank, you have to be honest. Honesty is important in politics. If you tell a public, Israel's population is 7.5 million. Of those 7.5 million, 5.5 million are Jewish. And the other 2 million are Palestinian, Arab, and neither of the above. And you say, as a lot of the Solidarity movement says, all 6 million Palestinian refugees have to go back. Okay? Now, will a public think it's reasonable for 6 million Palestinians to descend on a country which right now has 1.8 million Palestinians and 5.5 million Jews, which means you're going to completely, overnight, radically, completely change the demographic balance in the country. Will a person, the public, find that reasonable? My answer is, You can give them every fact behind the creation of the refugees, and they'll still see the Israeli position that that's not tenable. I don't think you can sell it.
But I do think, I mean, I totally get your point, but I do think you're portraying a darker picture of the solidarity movement as really where it is now. I don't really hear people saying, I think people are very educated on the refugee issue, and I've never heard people saying 6 million refugees.
I hear it all the time.
Okay, so
not never, I'm saying
actually,
reverse.
yeah.
I hear it all the time. I just spoke last night in Glasgow, and that was the first statement. What about the 6 million Palestinian refugees who want to return? That was the very first question. I hear it all the time. I hear sometimes people say, until every one of the 7 million go back, we won't accept the settlement.